For most entrepreneurs, founders, and business leaders, scaling up a company is the ultimate dream. But for many, it can also be a nightmare. Hypergrowth especially can be quite terrifying, and more often than not, it's this success leap that kills many great companies. Here's a breakdown of how this happens. As the company quickly grows, sooner or later, you get to a point where you're bigger, but not quite big enough to have the next level of talent and systems needed to scale the venture. It's at this point where you actually dread adding another new customer, employee, or even location. The growth that once fueled you is no longer wind at your back, but instead, it feels like you're just adding more weight to an ever heavier anchor that you're dragging up the hill. You now work longer hours than you did before, but you still seem to get nothing done. Although by now, you thought that there should be some relief in the economies of scale as the business grows. On one hand, you are constantly putting out fires in different departments. Egos are clashing between various leaders in the boardroom, and there's uncertainty as to who among the senior team needs to focus internally or externally to new markets. You also experience constant, needless, and endless drama in the organization. Someone missed a meeting, the report was not filed on time again, the invoice was wrong, and the list goes on and on. On the other hand, you are still struggling to drive sustainable growth in revenue and gross margins, and even worse, the attempt at growth is quickly draining your cash reserves, leaving you choking and desperate. If you are in this situation, you are not alone. These are the same challenges that plague thousands of companies worldwide as they try to scale up. In this keynote, we look at the 4 key drivers of business growth and how you can leverage each one of them to scale up your business and still survive the process with your sanity and relationships intact. This message, while drawing parallels with how the fastest growing companies in the world fuel and sustain their growth, will guide you as a business leader to answer 3 fundamental questions. First, how do you understand and navigate the growth paradox? This belief that as you scale up the company, things should get easier, while in truth, they actually don't. Instead, they get much harder and more complicated. Secondly, how do you effectively deal with the complexity brought on by scale? And finally, but perhaps most importantly, how can you ensure that growth becomes the beginning, not the end of your company's success? If you are curious about overcoming the barriers to growth or are suffering from unrelenting 3 a.m. nightmares about your business sustainability or have an urgent need for an aggressive new growth strategy, then this message is for you.